Okay, we're on the air. I call to order the Borough of Oradell Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting for September 15th, 2025. Notice of this meeting was published in the official newspaper, prominently posted in Borough Hall, and filed with the clerk's office in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting is a quasi-judicial proceeding. Decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must always be maintained. Any questions and comments must be limited to issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call. Mr. Bartlett.
Chairman, you want to mention calendar number 89125 is carried?
Sure, yeah. Just if anyone's here for 505 Kinderkamack, which is calendar 891-25, that has been carried to next meeting, October 20th, without need for further notice. So if you don't want to stick around, and if you were only here for that, feel free. We won't be offended if you want to leave. Otherwise, off we go. Good?
Want me to do it? Roll call?
Sure, yeah, you're better at it.
Mr. Lau?
Here.
Ms. Day?
Here.
Mr. Campariello?
Here.
Mr. Bartlett?
Here.
Ms. Odinsky?
Here.
Mr. Devine?
Here.
Mr. Santaniello?
Here. Okay, correspondence, I'm not sure there is any because I don't see it listed, but if there was, it would be available for review in the building official's office? None?
None.
Okay. Zoning board procedures. So I realize a lot of public interest.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
You want to do the minutes, approval of the minutes?
Did I skip right over that? I did. Sorry. Okay. Zoning board minutes from August 18th. We received them in email. Any comments? Changes? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion that the August 18th minutes be approved as distributed.
All right. Do we have a second?
A second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Minutes approved. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, now we'll go to zoning board procedures. So a lot of public interest tonight. I'll read this first, explain a few extra things just because a couple of folks before indicated an interest in finding out more about the process. The zoning board is a forum for property owners to apply for exceptions to local zoning ordinances. If what someone would like to do with their property isn't something that the building department can approve, they can seek a variance. The way we conduct these meetings follows the procedures laid out by the New Jersey Municipal Land Use Law, and that's what determines what can be said and when it can be said. Thanks in advance for your understanding, cooperation. What I'll add to that is this is just a bunch of residential volunteers tonight. So really what we're trying to do is make sure that we can run these applications in a way that isn't going to get the town in trouble. You know, we're going to follow all the documented procedures that we have to. I don't think anyone's power tripping. So it's really just a matter of keeping everything in order and running a smooth meeting. So if we cut you off, it's not because we don't want to hear what you have to say. It's just because at that time, that's not the time to say it. You know, there'll be time for questions and there'll be time for comments, and we'll try to be as clear as possible about when that is. So that being said, Danielle, would you swear in our loan professional tonight?
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony, any testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. We don't have any resolutions tonight to memorialize. Okay. So, since we mentioned 891-25 is carried, let's call calendar 893-25, Mr. Bendian.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And just before you begin, if you could just raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you could state your name, spell your last name, and give your address.
Russell Bendigan, Bendian, 232 Camden Street.
And you're the owner as well as the applicant, correct?
Correct, owner and applicant.
Good.
Thank you again.
And so I don't interrupt you, I know you have a PowerPoint exhibit you presented,
Does everyone have the PowerPoint in front of them?
and I'm going to just have you mark that as Exhibit A1,
Okay.
and if you could just identify it, and then I'll let you go off on your presentation.
So the PowerPoint I put together for everybody, I hope there's enough copies here. And there's also a PowerPoint on the TV here. I'm going to follow that along, add to it. I'm an open book, so if you want to ask me any questions during the presentation or after, I'm all for it. Nothing to hide here. Before I start, this application here, different from many of your other ones, this is fun. Okay? It's nothing more, I don't want you to think it's anything more than having fun and enjoying it for the children. So, hello, Mr. Chairman, and to all the board members, Russell Bendian of 232 Camden Street. I'd like to thank you for your volunteer time this evening. Before we start this hearing, may I ask you two questions? Who here is a resident of Oradell for over 55 years? Awesome. Who here has had the opportunity to drive by the property to take a look at what's going on there? Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for your information. May I begin the presentation?
Yes, one thing I forgot to mention real quick, just around 10:30, I know it's in the meeting minutes that you all have, around 10:30 is when we look to stop. We turn into a pumpkin eventually. I don't think we're going to get to 10:30, but just in case.
We're not going to see 8:30.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with an overview of tonight's presentation. I'm going to start with an introduction on who I am. I'm going to follow with a purpose of tonight's appearance, the community benefits, and there are many, property survey, additional information, and the feedback I've been receiving from many people, and it's been overwhelming. Oradell residents on Facebook have spoken. Many visitors have passed by, rang my doorbell, called me, knocked on my everything. It's crazy what's going on. And I'll end it with my closing statement. Who is Russell Bendian? I'm a resident of Oradell for over 55 years, and I'm a huge advocate for Oradell. And what does that mean? I publicly support and always defend the town of Oradell positively at all times, being a 55-year resident, over 55 years. I was raised as a child on Amaryllis Avenue. After that, I bought a house on Phyllis Lane where I raised my son, and I currently live at 232 Camden Street, the property in question tonight. I have always lived responsibly, and the Oradell Fire Department, the Oradell Police Department have never been to any of my homes. What does that mean to you? It means I live a clean life, a low-key life. I'm not a troublemaker. We don't believe in that. Oradell is part of my DNA. I played Oradell Little League Baseball, and I played Babe Ruth Baseball in town. I worked for the Oradell Recreation Department under Doug Parcells many, many years ago. I graduated from Oradell Elementary School. I graduated back then, it was called Riverdale Junior High School, and I graduated from Riverdale Senior High School. Also graduated from Wesley College with an AA degree, and Greensboro College in North Carolina with a BS degree. I'm a single parent who raised my son Troy in Oradell. Not to get too deep into it, but I won custody of him in 2005, and I think I could win custody of this horse in 2025. So I raised Troy with Oradell values, and what do I consider Oradell values? I consider honesty, kindness, and respect. And my son, Troy, has all three of those qualities, and I'm proud of that. Currently, I'm president of Aspen Home Remodeling, a construction company located here in Oradell. We have over 257 five-star Google reviews, nothing negative. That's just how we operate. That's how I operate. We gladly donate annually to the Oradell Police Department and Fire Department, and whatever the outcome tonight, regardless, that will continue. Got it, Steve? Let's talk about the purpose of tonight's appearance. Once again, I appreciate the opportunity to present to you the zoning board. I'm here seeking a variance for a horse statue, which is really a piece of art in my yard that currently does not conform to the ordinance. And as a corner lot, it's an inherent deficiency. I'm going to say that again. It's an inherent deficiency. I have no control over that. None. If not for Martin Avenue being considered a front yard, we wouldn't be here tonight. United States Post Office, UPS, FedEx, they all delivered at 232 Camden Street. They don't deliver to Martin Avenue or Martin Street. That's my address, 232 Camden Street. The statue or art is not a permanent structure. It simply sits on a concrete pad and is not cemented to the ground. It can be picked up and moved at any time with a 5/8 wrench. That's all it takes. 4 bolts, 5/8 wrench, and it's out. And why is it fastened to the concrete pad? For safety. Wind, anything could happen. I don't want it falling over. I don't want anyone getting hurt, so I had to secure it to protect people. The horse named Martini is for decorative purposes, community services, goodwill, and most of all for the children in the community to enjoy. Since Martini was situated, the responses from the neighbors, people passing by, walking by with their children and pets, driving by have been all positive. People knock on my doors, people calling me, it's just been crazy. I created a monster here. Let's talk about the community benefits. Educational value for children, it sparks curiosity, it teaches respect for art, and encourages outdoor exploration. It promotes imagination and creativity, such as storytelling, inspires children to draw and do research. Strengthens community identity as a local landmark, and residents may use it as a reference point or a meeting spot. Emotional well-being, such as seeing a graceful horse statue, which can allow for calmness and happiness. I did forget one thing. Here he is. Do you see what he just did? He created smiles, created laughs back there. There's no adverse impact on the neighboring properties, and the public benefit outweighs the zoning ordinance. I have a property survey here, which you can see here, and I also have it on the easel here.
I'm gonna just interrupt you. Can I have the horse marked as Exhibit A2? It's a figurine,
Horse will be marked as A2,
and that's just.
but you can't have them.
Do we get to keep that?
No.
It's an exhibit.
I'll take a picture of it. And Exhibit A3, if you could just identify this for.
So what I have here is
I know you have a copy in here, but it's different, so
it's slightly different.
we'll identify this as Exhibit A3.
Right.
And this is your,
So here's Camden Street,
it's a partial survey.
Martin Avenue survey, and a picture of Martini
Graphs.
from a different elevation, from the right and from the left.
Thank you.
So the setback here from Camden Street to Martini is 35 feet. The setback here from Martin Avenue to Martini is 19 feet. Over here, the blue marking here is a row of 14-foot arborvitaes, a big wall that protects my backyard here, gives me privacy. Any questions on the survey? Okay. Additional information, as I just stated, Martini is set back 35 feet from Camden Street, 19 feet from Martin Avenue. Martini is secured to a concrete pad 3 feet wide, 5 feet long, 4 inches thick, almost the size of a sidewalk slab. Okay, like I said, he's bolted to it. He's not into the ground with concrete. He's fastened to the concrete pad so we can remove him if there's ever an issue. Let's talk about Martini is constructed of a resin, kind of like a fiberglass resin, and will be treated every 6 months with a protectant. To protect them from the elements, from the sun, and all the outdoor elements. Let's talk about the size of Martini. 90 inches in length, 23 inches wide, 82 inches in height, and approximately 115, 113 pounds. It does not interfere with any sight lines that affect traffic. I'll say that again. Does not interfere with any sight lines that affect traffic. This variance will not negatively affect my neighbors or the community, which is very important to me. Will not interfere with light or visibility, nor will it affect the air quality. Will not, and this is very important to me, I'm going to say it twice once again, will not affect people's privacy or property values. It will not affect people's privacy or property values. It is not toxic to the environment. It's surrounded by 16 mini variegated boxwoods to beautify the surroundings. The feedback I've been receiving, and this is this is a small, small part of what I've been receiving. We love Martini. He is beautiful. This is now part of our nightly walks. Absolutely beautiful, a must see. My kids love him. I passed by him today, very cool. Or back when I did this PowerPoint here, I was at the Oradell Facebook residence, 116 likes and 56 comments. Well, that has, since till yesterday, this has probably tripled in the amount of likes and comments. It's been overwhelming and all positive.
The only thing, I hate to interrupt you, I'm just going to
Please.
say for the board's knowledge, and I'm sure they know, if these residents aren't here, we can't take this into account when you're deciding on the application. It's anyone that comes and testifies, and your own knowledge of people coming to your house, we obviously can consider, but if someone's not here to be cross-examined, then any statements made can't be considered.
Well said.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, anytime. Talked about random people stopping by, taking pictures with Martini, leaving with smiles and lasting memories, and returning often, and very often. This past Saturday, around 11 a.m., I had a gentleman knock on my front door, totally off guard, and he said, "Are you the owner of the home?" I said, "I am." He goes, "My parents live on this block down the block. I don't live here anymore, but I love your horse, and you have rights, and you should bring up the First Amendment, you should do this, and case law." I'm not going there, but this is how far it's gotten so far. I'm having fun. What I also had done, and I'm not sure if this is allowed or not, but if you tell me to stop, I'll stop. I had a petition signed here, and I'll pass it around to you, of over 60 people in Oradell in a 2-week period, basically, that signed this petition that reads, August 25th, 2025, I, Russell Bendian of 232 Camden Street, Oradell, am applying for a variance before the Oradell Zoning Board for a horse statue located on my property. As a resident of Oradell, these are all residents that signed it, I fully support allowing the statue to remain and would like the zoning board to approve this application. I'm going to pass this around here. If you pass it down.
And that, I'm going to stop that.
Okay.
So the petition's fine, except if the people are here, we can't allow that into evidence because unless they're allowed to be questioned. So if they're here, I encourage them to come up and speak in support or against, but we can't, the board can't consider a petition because it can't be cross-examined. But I encourage anyone that signed the petition to come up.
That will be done in the open forum,
Yeah.
I think. May I name a few people on here?
No.
All that work for nothing.
Again, if any of them are here, feel free to, after his presentation's over, it's going to be opened, but that can't be brought into evidence.
No problem. Done. I don't have to mark it.
Photos.
The one before it?
Photos, just a few of many visitors.
Okay, so maybe can you scroll down one or two? Okay, go back up. So maybe these aren't on here, but Facebook residents, have spoken. Oradell residents have spoken. If I could just say a few things of what they said online, it's public knowledge. Is that okay with you? I'm not going to name names. I'm just going to name.
But again, unless they came, even if you came with a written statement, I can't have the board consider that unless they're here to be cross-examined. So,
Even though it's a public knowledge on Facebook, a public forum?
yeah, and that's why I called you before the hearing. So you can have people come up and testify to those same statements that were made, but I can't have
Next.
statements read
No problem. Okay.
because they need to be cross-examined. So.
Just for a little extra background, like for example, if you have a variance for a home construction, if your neighbor wrote you a letter that says, yes, I support,
Yeah,
you brought
I
the letter,
understand.
we can't
I
do
understand.
it. We
And
can't, for the same reason.
if they wrote and said they didn't like it, we can't consider it unless they're here and they could be cross-examined. So the testimony that you provided that people came and knocked on your door is all fine, and the board can consider that. But anything aside, any statements made, they can't. But hopefully there's people here that wrote messages or are here in support or.
So since I sat down here, I haven't turned around to see who's here, but I'm sure I have a lot of support here.
Yeah.
Okay, and I hope people that don't support me are here too. I want to address their concerns, so I'm an open book, like I said before. Let's talk about some of these pictures here. Okay, over here. The first one on the left is a couple people on their bikes stopping by and taking a look. To the right is two little children stopping by, taking a look. Again, the gentleman to the right's walking his dog, stopping, he caught his attention. The picture in the middle with the horse and the grandfather and the child, that's the person that said that's part of our nightly walks. He is walking there every night with his wife. Here's the UPS man stopping by and taking a look. Very interesting, huh? Again, a family in the left-hand corner. The middle picture is the wife of the other gentleman with the granddaughter in the picture. That's the daughter with her child, Bella. Here's another family to the right. And here on the bottom left is the mailman delivering mail to Martini. And he's delivering mail to Martini at 232 Martin Street. 232 Camden Street, not Martin Avenue. Here's my neighbor looking at the horse here, and he's here tonight. I'm not sure if he's for me or against me. Doesn't matter. And here is the Oradell Police Department catching their attention. I said a lot in a short time. I hope I was clear what I said, and I'm pretty passionate about this. In closing, displaying a statue on your residential property is a form of expression protected by the First Amendment. We are respectfully asking the board to grant relief tonight without substantial detriment to the public good or impairing the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance. Without substantial detriment to the public good or impairing intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance. We look forward to earning your vote of yes tonight. And Martini was not able to be here tonight, but he asked me to say a few things on his behalf. Though I was not able to attend tonight's meeting, I love Oradell and my new home. May I please stay? Thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Accept that statement.
That statement also can't be accepted.
Well, I've spoken anyway. Questions?
Yeah, let's give ourselves a moment to think here. Okay, so
You're not speechless, are you?
you know what? I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. Steve?
Yeah, I have a couple of comments.
Yes, sir.
Excellent presentation, entertaining. I think we have to take into consideration the borough codes and ordinances. They were put in place for a reason, as far as what the community and the character of the community. My question would be, what's your thoughts on someone putting up a life-size elephant in their front yard?
Well, that's a great question.
Or if somebody somebody had said something in regards to well, I won't go into what they said. But what's your thoughts on that?
Just like I had to do, I'm sure someone's going to complain about that. One person complained here tonight, that's why we're here. Or should I say, one family complained about it. Two people, one family complained about it. I'm aware of who it is, and it doesn't matter. But if they did that, they would have to do what I did. Go before the board and present their story. In 56 years living here, I've never seen an elephant on someone's property.
I've never seen a horse.
Okay, but I have seen other things in Oradell. Okay, and I'm not going to go into it that are not.
And as I told you, and I've told people before, I don't go out and look for violations like that. I like the horse. I like horses. That's fine. But if somebody complains, and somebody did, and they were two that I know of,
And I know who they are, sure.
and then I have to act on it. So that's.
And this is not personal. You're doing your job, and I appreciate your
understand.
job. I appreciate that.
I get that.
But like I said, they would have to do what I did, present their story, present their case, and it's up to you to decide. But I'm here on my behalf
My
tonight.
question is, what's the difference between the horse and the elephant?
Oh, I don't know the story of an elephant. I know the story of a horse. I got to speak for myself. I got to stay in my lane here. I don't know that answer.
Okay.
I have one question. When did you pour the concrete slab? At what point in time was the concrete slab poured for it when you put?
About 3 weeks.
It was already there.
No, it wasn't already there. It was like 2 to 3 weeks before we situated him.
Okay. To kind of, again, your presentation was great. This is just a simple question. You said you're in the construction business too,
I
right?
am.
If you were to alter and put something onto a property, change a bathroom, you're assuming you would reach out and find out what the code and ordinances would be in order to put some sort of alteration to your property.
Yes, sir.
So if a resident wanted to put a shed in their backyard and they needed to pour concrete slab and do all of those things, they would want to check to make sure it would work before moving forward. Or if they hired you to do that, would you think that that would be a proactive approach?
Good question.
Ask the borough and see, are we able to construct this type of shed or do an addition or renovate the bathroom?
I know where you're going with this, and I appreciate the question.
So, and as, again, to go with Steve, we love the option, but that's why we're here. Because, every case is different. It sticks throughout eternity.
Right.
So we have to look at the whole thing. This is a judicial hearing, so some of the reason why, Danielle said we we need testimony, some other items, so.
So, Mr. Bartlett, I'm going to address that. You said something that I was going to save in my back pocket for the end of the presentation after the open forum, but I'm going to bring it up now. You said it's here for eternity. I'm willing to put a cap on this of 12 years or until I move or sell my home. I'm willing to do that as a consolation to make your job easier.
Well, that's not the question. We just want to understand more, and that's why
But
we
you
ask
said
these
eternity.
questions.
Eternity's forever. This doesn't have to be forever.
Well, now we hear, that's just, our job here is what we grant out sets precedent. So
Correct.
if this application is favorable, potentially next month, we could have the big elephant in front of us that someone wanted to do it. So these are the reasons why we have these forums and we keep it open and we have these discussions.
Well said. Okay.
Can I just add something, and Mr. Depkin can also, what we're here for tonight is because it's considered a structure. And under the Borough Code, it's what a structure is anything constructed or erected which requires permanent location on the ground or attaches to a permanent location, which it is because it's concrete and is being attached to it. So it's not just that it's a statue, and I just wanted that to be clear because someone could put a statue on their property, but because this is permanent, even though I know you're making statements that it could be moved, it's considered permanent because you have the concrete. So I just
But
wanted
it's not
that.
poured in concrete. It's fastened to concrete.
But the
Meaning I think
concrete is permanent.
concrete's permanent for safety.
So that's
correct.
where I just wanted to be clear to the board, it's not because it's a statue, the horse itself, it's what it's attached to and the concrete. So if someone has like a gnome or an elephant in their front yard and it's not attached to something, I don't think we'd be here tonight.
So let me ask you this question, if I may.
Yeah.
What's the difference of what I'm doing here or people that put the horses at the end of their driveway mounted on a brick structure?
It's mounted on a brick structure, and that structure is permanent. And Mr. Depkin, you could correct me if I'm wrong.
And this
but-
is not permanent.
No,
exact-
that's a good point. And when I talked to Mr. Bendy in regards to what we could do in lieu of going to the zoning board, I suggested if it was something that could be moved in and out, say like holidays, there's a lot of ornaments and decorations that are put outside for holidays. And if you could take it in, put it in your garage, and then bring it out on certain holidays, and your answer was?
So I respected that statement Steve made to me. My answer was I would put it on wheels and make it portable. It wouldn't be safe. It could blow over.
Well,
If someone climbed it.
you told me that it was heavy. It would take two people to take it in and out.
It does take two people,
I
correct?
said, well, that's an option if you want to go that route, or you could keep it where it is and go for a variance.
And that's why we're here.
Can I ask, what's the issue, the issue with existing ordinance? Is it the horse or the concrete? Well, I mean, is it the statue or is it the concrete?
It's the fact that it's in a front yard. Nothing's permitted in the front yard.
Okay.
Except for certain items. If I had to list this at what this is, the only thing that I could come up with is it's an accessory structure.
Okay.
And if that's the case, that's something that's permanent to the ground, and Mr. Bendian, doesn't want to move it.
And that's where Mr. Bendian was stating that it's attached to this concrete structure. If he didn't have the concrete structure, your testimony is that it would be a safety hazard, but if it wasn't attached to that,
It's not a structure.
it's not a structure. What makes it a structure is the horse is attached to something that you can't move, which is the concrete.
But
So
also,
for
it's an
example,
inherent deficiency that I can't control.
Yeah.
I have no control over that.
so Steve, a flagpole, that would be a structure,
Yeah, and it's permitted,
and it's specifically permitted.
correct,
Okay, and whereas this is a structure but not permitted.
yes.
It's
just
not
gonna be
what
in
you
the front
typically
yard.
think of with a structure.
No, I mean, I would typically think about a shed or somebody's jungle gym in the backyard
Normally
or
that's
something
the
like
case.
that.
Well, let me ask you a question. It's about a structure. Just pulling this out of right field. The library boxes, is that a structure? That's permanently in the ground? That's, like, what is that? What is that considered?
It's got
Well, that-
poured concrete and a
that-
footing, right? Wouldn't
Well, it's a good point because it's come up and, people have put them up. There's no ordinance saying that you can put those in.
No approval?
So if somebody calls and asks me, I said it's not permitted, but the mayor and council are, I think, attempting to go through a process for these, they're called little libraries, and you see them, popping up over town. Is that what the mayor and council want in regards to the character of the town? Do you want those in there? There's, I thought there might be some issues, but you have to address, say, these little libraries. Well, how big is it going to be? Where's it going to be located? What size? I don't have any of that information. So if somebody calls and says, I'm going to say no, I would say that's not permitted.
And I'm not complaining. I'm just bringing it up. It's not a
I get
complaint.
it. I
It's
get
not a
it, but
complaint.
That also is not the application here tonight. So there may be other structures that the
And there are. And I'm
municipality
not
is
bringing them
not
up.
regulating, but it's not what's here tonight.
There are other structures that I could bring, and I don't want to bring it up. I want to go on the merit of what I'm presenting without naming names and naming structures, and that's not my problem. My problem is here tonight. And I want to focus on this and keep it in my lane.
I think, as Mr. Bartlett had questioned, if you had come and asked, and then maybe go through the process, it would be, well, how high is it going to be? How big is it going to be? If you want to take it to the zoning board for a variation, at least you give them information so they could decide on what it is. This is something that's been placed there, and now you're asking for relief for something that's.
Well, may I respond?
Okay, yeah, I was going to further that
I heard
point.
you loud and
Help
clear
your-
what you said, and I did take that step before. I asked someone who's a friend of mine on the mayor and council, and he said, "I don't see anything wrong with it. Why not? You're set back. It looks beautiful." I'm not naming names. I'm not not that kind of guy. But I did ask for, off the record, I asked his opinion, and he said, "Why? It look beautiful. Why not?"
I'll give you an example, right? We hear applications like this all the time, and again, all this, we appreciate everything you do. It's just, again, just for procedure. In your testimony, you mentioned that there was no sightline detriment to the drivers,
Correct.
right? I would love to take your opinion for that, but it's sometimes better for us here as the panel. We hear that from, an engineer or someone who's done a study and can show us that, where we then truly see it as evidence and it's an exhibit, which then would become permanent testimony to then when we deliberate say, oh wow, that was great. There really isn't a detriment to that. Now,
Here's my house. Here's the horse. Here's the corner. You have this kind of visibility here. Here's my arborvitaes that are 16 feet tall or whatever, close to it. Here's the horse. You have all this open visibility here. And you didn't drive by the
I think
property.
what Mr. Bart,
Did you drive by the property?
I think you missed my point,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Was what Mr. Depkin was saying is that if we had that procedure before and we were looking at this application before it was there, then we can deliberate over that.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt. The application that's before the board tonight is for this structure, regardless of whether it was there before or whether he's proposing it. We have to treat it as if it's not there, and that's the presentation that's being given. It's regardless of whether it's there or not, whether he meets the standards for the variance. So you can't take in consideration whether he came here before or whether the structure's up or not. It's just on its face. Pretend like it's not there. And that's how you're voting.
And if I may ask a question, before I started, I asked who drove by the property, and a lot of hands went up. Did anyone feel, in your opinion, that there was a visibility issue?
I don't
So-
think
Not a
that's, I don't
traffic
think that's the
engineer.
issue.
Yeah.
I don't think
You don't
that's the
have
issue.
to, you don't have to answer
You don't have to
that.
answer, but I just want that food for your thought in your mind.
Of course.
I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I'm just a citizen here of 55 years. I'm having fun.
So, Steve, and maybe also for the applicant, another question. If the statue was in the backyard, would that be a
I
problem?
suggested that to him.
So if it was in the back, meaning the back, in behind the house, right? Because it's, right now it's set in the front of, it's basically at the front of the house, but in that side yard.
The corner lots have 2 front yards.
Okay.
They have to.
So even if it was moved back on what I'm calling mistakenly this, in my,
Once again, it's
Be the backyard, it would be behind the house.
behind the house, that would be okay.
an inherited deficiency, what I had no control over. If I brought it back behind the arborvitaes, who am I pleasing? The deer? I'm trying to please the children, and I gave you the benefits of the children. I'm trying to make it fun. If I bury it in the backyard, might as well bury it in the ground.
If it were a true side yard, would that be compliant?
Yeah, accessory structures are permitted, yeah.
Even in the location that it is right now, which to me is,
No,
yeah.
no. So if you have a shed, this is an unusual situation. If you take a shed as an accessory structure, it's only permitted in the rear yard.
Right.
And it would have to be 15 feet from the property line also.
No, not necessarily. Sheds can be 2 feet off the property line.
And I'm 35 and 19 off the property lines.
Question for Steve. So if the horse were not there and it were just a concrete slab, it would still be non-conforming?
I don't think there would be an issue with the slab in his grass. I don't think that would be an issue.
And then, so if the horse is there and it's not one big slab, but instead like small pieces, like 4 pieces under each foot,
No.
is that conforming or not
If
conforming?
that was the case, I think the fact that if the horse was there on a permanent basis, it would still be a violation. If he took it in on certain times and brought it out on holidays or things like that, I don't think there would be an issue.
So if the horse wasn't attached to something and it was just out in that same location, it wouldn't need a variance.
Okay, but is the issue that the concrete is like in the ground?
It's the issue is the horse is connected to the concrete and it's there permanently.
But if the horse were freestanding and it had concrete on its feet, or its hooves were
And if he
concrete,
left it there 365 days, it would be an issue.
But if the horse was heavier, that you weren't worried about it moving and blowing over, it's not a structure, right?
No, it would still be, I would
It's not
consider-
attached.
I would consider that a structure. I mean, a shed, you don't need a concrete slab for. It's a fact that it's going to be there permanently. That's how Mr. Bendian wants it.
So, I'm sorry, just so I understand, the fact that it's bolted there and left out all year round is really the main issue, because if that was removed off there, put up whatever the definition of holidays and whatnot is, it becomes in and out, can be moved, not a permanent structure, we don't have a problem. If that concrete slab wasn't there, it doesn't matter, because if there were 4 holes dug in the ground and the horse had wood on the bottom of the hooves and was stuck in the ground, but it's going to be out there all year round, that's still an issue.
Correct.
So the issue is the permanency of it being out there all year round. That's really the only issue that is there, right?
Correct.
Thanks.
Any other board questions?
I mean, I don't know if we have this in terms of the calculation of all the other between the building and you see a concrete. You have the concrete slab in the back there. That's like your patio.
Right here's the concrete.
Yeah, but the back in
Back
more of a
here?
calculation of how much coverage the again the lot coverage.
He's in compliance.
He's in compliance.
Yes.
Even if we accounted for that as the accessory structure, still in compliance in
Yes.
the. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other board questions? I'm just curious, is there any benefit in the harshest of winter months to bring Martini to the stable, so to speak?
So we're talking about
Month.
Hanukkah, Christmas, Valentine's Day, because this will be decorated, in my mind, for every holiday.
Yeah.
It started today. There's a skeleton on it now for Halloween. Okay?
I didn't see that.
Okay, so there's a skeleton on it now for Halloween. There's going to be turkeys around it for Thanksgiving. There's going to be a Santa Claus outfit on it for Christmas. There's going to be roses around it for the Kentucky Derby.
No,
I know where you're coming from.
I'm just wondering if there's any appetite or practicality, rather, for there to be something non-permanent about this accessory structure. I don't know.
I'm open to ideas.
Yeah, I mean, we can't redesign the application for you, but
Right.
that's just what I'm asking. All right. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's said another way. I mean, have you considered with everything that you heard? I understand your safety concern, but there are probably ways to secure him from running away, without, permanently, on, some sort of locking wheels or something that just makes the variance go away. Because as people already suggested, that this starts to become an issue of, when you start to have these type of variances become something that, granted for one, granted for all type of scenario, even though they are different. So I guess the question is, have you considered, after speaking to Steve and all, whether or not you could put him on some sort of wheels? I mean, if he's, bringing Santa in, he's bringing Santa in. If he's bringing the Headless Horseman in, we get it. But at the concept of the fact that it could be moved, have we considered that?
But the concept of it could be moved by me or by some drunk or some high school kid wanting to make fun, it's a different realm. Like, I could move it, sure. But who's going to stop someone else from taking it down the block and putting it at the high school
completely
football
unlocked,
field?
but completely unlocked.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's ways of securing things too, and because just from your safety perspective too.
Right. I'm all about safety here.
But even if you left them bolted in, if I'm understanding, Chairman has said and what Steve has said, is there the thought that maybe he does need a little bit of rest, a couple of weeks here, a couple of weeks there? Doesn't have to be out all the time. I don't know what that would look like, but because if I'm not mistaken, based on what I'm hearing, that takes it out of the variance because it's not there permanently. Am I mistaken in that regard? So maybe some thought to, after the holidays, he can relax for a week or so, and then he come back out for Valentine's Day, and then, I mean, I know it's a little bit of a, but that might alleviate any of the issues that we have here.
I'm trying to work with you, and that could be part of this discussion. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I have a question for the board attorney. Is there a legal definition of permanent?
Code, I don't know. Yeah, right.
All right.
Black's Law
Let me look and
Dictionary.
see if it's in here. I don't know if it's in the code. Maybe Mr. Depke knows.
Permanent?
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, even if it's around for a whole year and then it's removed the day after 365 days, do you still call that permanent?
Yes, I would.
Is it codified?
Okay. Do we want to move to public questions? We'll have public comment also later, but we can do public questions of Mr. Bendian's testimony. Is that, yes? Okay, come on up. Yep. Please state your name and address for Danielle.
Hello, Shane McQuaid, 677 Martin Ave. Hello. My
sir.
daughters wanted me to ask, why is it named Martini? Because they think it's because it's Martin Ave, but I said I'd ask.
The reason it's named Martini is because my girlfriend and I like chocolate martinis, and he's a chocolate color, and he's on Martin Avenue, so we put it all together, Martini I wish it was a better story than that.
I'll
but
let them know. They'll be happy to know. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and thank you for being here.
Good evening, Ori Katzin, 192 Laurel.
Hello, sir.
Hi. Will it be possible for you to put maybe railroad ties in the ground? This is one suggestion. The railroad ties 6x6 or 8x8 with some kind of extension bolt sticking out, so you can bolt it in, but you can easily remove it, and then you can even put the grass over the railroad ties. They will be buried in the ground. You use cooked wood, so you wouldn't have termites in it. Or you can use some of those blocks. Do you know the paving blocks that you can seed grass through them? They're like blocks, hollow blocks. You seed grass through.
Like a retaining wall block, something like that? Is that what you're talking about?
No, they're like hollow. You fill up with grass inside with land.
Yeah, okay.
And that thing could support the horse, but everything appears to be like on a lawn. And if you ever want to take it out, I mean, you put some kind of bolts through them, and you take it out, moving. You can mow the lawn or do whatever you want with them. But the appearance, it's not appearance of a structure, meaning it seems like the horse is actually standing on the lawn itself. So those two options, railroad ties buried in the ground or the hollow blocks. And if you want, you stop by 192 Laurel Drive. I've done that. And you cannot even tell that I have, on both sides of my apron, I put some of those. So if I step over with
We do
my...
have to stick with questions this time around.
Yes.
But I see where you're going.
I understand where you're going, and I appreciate that. Just so I'm clear, what I have to remove, if you look up there, I have the boxwoods around it. Would I have to remove those boxwoods?
Why are you asking him?
Yeah, if
I don't know what he's asking. I don't know what he's asking.
No, I'm just asking if you will be able to make it like, so it looks like it's standing on a lawn, meaning on something either buried, something that you can see the grass over, and you can maintain it by mowing the lawn. Obviously, it's going to grow. And if you can do that, I think it's going to eliminate the structure appearance.
I could do that.
If I may,
Yeah.
and Mr. Depkin's here, just because it may not appear like a structure, it will still be considered a structure.
Even though it's buried in the ground?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for
Appreciate
the
it.
suggestion.
Public questions? Any questions? Okay. All right, we'll close it to the public for questions at this point.
And I just want to put
Yeah.
on the record, I did look in the code quickly. I don't see any definition for permanent or for temporary. It's not in the Moskowitz land use definitions book either. I'm sure there's case law on it, on what would be considered, but it would say in the reasonable mind what would be considered permanent.
Okay. Okay. Any other testimony, content before we go for
Public comment.
public comment? Before we move to public comment, any other? Oh, questions?
Yes, Kathleen Tormino, Atlantic Street. If the variance was permitted, would that, for anyone else applying for a variance, say, well, he got it, why can't I?
So I'm going to let Danielle explain it in a moment, but variances don't create precedent in the sense that if it gets granted here, everyone else can go out and do it. It still becomes a variance, and it has to be evaluated on the merit of that application. So it's not, if this goes through, everyone can go put a horse on their lawn.
No,
it
but
wouldn't, but
if it was like a gazebo or a little merry-go-round.
no, the ordinance would still be what the ordinance is. Anything that doesn't require it still would have to come through this process. I don't know, Danielle, how else would you explain it?
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman, you explained it perfectly, but as far as if it was in the code and it allowed it as of right, then everyone could do it. But because it's a structure and he's not permitted to do it, then they need a variance, and then the board's able to determine whether he meets the criteria for those variances, and there's different standards depending on what type of variance it is. Here, it would be considered a C variance, and there's different criteria that you could meet. One is a C1, which is hardship, and that's based on the shape of the property, the topography, and all those sort of things that make it hard for you to do something. And the other one's a C2, which is a flexible variance, which is where you have to prove, and it's up to the applicant to prove it, and it's not automatic that the board will grant it, whether the benefits to granting it, and there's testimony that has to be presented, outweigh any detriment. And again, nothing's automatic. Even if you're on a corner lot and that could be considered a hardship, then it's a question of, is it self-created? But then you have what's the flexible criteria, where if you prove different items of why you should be entitled to it, the board then determines, and each one is on a case-by-case basis, and if they prove it and the board agrees, then they would approve it, but it's not automatic whatsoever.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. With that being finished, now we'll move to public comment, right? Are we good? Okay, come
Can
on
I
up,
ask
sir.
one more question? Sorry.
Sorry. We have one more question
On the
from the
last
board.
point,
Yep.
for Danielle. So about precedent. So even if like another case came up where there was a horse and like the exact setbacks, what we determine here cannot be used in a subsequent case, even if like the parameters are the
Correct.
same.
Each application's judged on its own merit.
Okay.
And it's the applicant's burden to prove that they meet the criteria. That's not to say they can't also prove it, but they can't say, my neighbor got it and I'm coming here for the exact same, prove it.
And the board is not like liable for bias or something.
I think, so if a bunch of applications come and they are all asking for the same relief, then it becomes a question of, is there a section of the ordinance that has to get amended? And then that becomes a question for the mayor and council and for the board, the planning board, to start to review the ordinance and see if there needs to be a change made.
Okay.
But to that point, though, once you do this, if the board were to turn down a second application for another form, the applicant then can go back and sue the town, saying that there was bias because he was approved and we weren't, even though we may quote other things. The precedence of now having structures with, inside of 35 feet to a property line is now, it's been granted before. Why aren't you doing it this time?
I think that that person would have to prove that there was a bias and that they were entitled to it.
Right.
So it would have to be identical properties, and that is hard. But
it does open the town to further review. Once you start to, grant them for certain, issues where we don't find any negative, to it, but.
I think if you have one applicant that keeps coming to the board and you grant all of those that applicant's requests, and if this applicant if you keep coming to the board and you have 100 applications for horses and you only grant it to this specific applicant, and then someone else that comes in for the same identical property, then maybe they would have a case, but not if you have different horse applications coming in. And just because if in the event you grant something tonight, this wouldn't create a precedent that someone else could then come in and ask for a horse variance and for the structure and then automatically be entitled to it. I think if there starts to be like a pattern where you're only approving one applicant's type of applications, then it could create some sort of something where someone could litigate, but not in this instance.
I have one more
Yeah.
question for Danielle. Is there any legal liability for the borough if somebody gets injured when on the property, on the horse, or is it solely based on the property owner at that time?
If it's not borough property, so if it was in the right of way, I'd say yes.
Okay.
But you're not in the right of way, this would be
So there's
this
no
applicant's.
May I answer that question too?
Yeah, sure.
I have contacted my insurance company and my insurance agent. I'm fully insured for the horse and insured for anyone getting hurt.
Sure. Yeah, and that's fine. I just wanted to
I did-
make
I
sure
did my
that
homework there, yes.
If it's granted favorable that you're not putting the borough into a situation where that's
And it's just as if you approve an application for a house and something happens in that house or someone trips and falls on steps that you approved, the borough's not liable.
Good?
Just so I understand a little more with clarity, every variance is in its own silo? Correct?
Yeah.
Which is also why when you were making the statement that about the book structures and
Right.
other structures that may be in the borough that aren't policed or whatnot, it doesn't matter. It's the application that's before you tonight. Each one stands on their own.
And that's what I'm doing here, standing on my own merit.
Okay. Let's go to public comment. Sir, in the back, you were...
I just have one more question.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
All right, public question, all right.
Thomas Schnackenberg, 55 Stewart Place, Oradell. Just curious if Martini was on another piece of property that had the setbacks, the proper setbacks, would, say the mansion, the blah mansion, it's on the property there, it's 35 feet back, it could be right in the front of the property. Is that acceptable? I'm just curious.
No.
It's not. Although it conforms with the
No,
setback rules.
it would need to be in the rear of the property.
Oh.
Nothing is permitted in the front yard.
Even though it has the
Even though you
setbacks.
meet the front yard setback,
Right.
the front yard continues to the structure.
And that goes for side yard as well because of the road frontage, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Of course. A beautiful property.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll try again. Public comment. Sir, in the back, you had your hand up a couple times. Come on up. And Danielle, remind me, do we swear folks in for public
Yes,
comment?
I just wanted to
Okay.
put that on the record. Anyone coming up now, I have to swear you. You're allowed to make statements in support or against, and I'm just going to ask you to raise your right hand.
And just before you do, since we're starting public comment now, favor to ask the crowd, we know you're all here for one reason or another. If what you were going to say has been said, feel free to come up and show your support, but you don't have to re-say it all from scratch. We get it. Okay. All yours, Danielle.
If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you're about to give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And can you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Ed Chiazzo, Ciaazzo, resident of 665 Lotus Ave. So to further Russ's argument regarding the lending library, I'm speculating. However, people are most likely just going to walk by the horse and admire it for a moment or two. Sometimes there's people lurking on my Ave street for at least 15 minutes picking out a book, which I would consider more obstructive than a horse. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Being here.
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Public comment? Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Can you please raise your right hand?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
yes.
And can you please state your name and spell your last name?
Paul Latsunas, 50 Beverly Road, in the Manor section, Oradell, New Jersey. I was thinking that children would love to play around that horse. We have a playground in town, and at the west end of the playground, there's a lot of room there. And if you're interested, if you'd like to I don't know how expensive this is, but you could donate it to the town, and I think it would be great at the playground for the kids.
Is that a question?
Yeah.
This is a comment.
You don't have to answer.
Thank you.
You don't have to answer.
Thank you for being here.
Okay. The other thing that caught I was wondering if anybody was fond of giraffes, how that would look.
Okay. Next for public comment, we had two hands over here. We'll get right back over to you. Sorry, I want to try and keep it in order. Just while she's walking to the podium, someone's got a cell phone that keeps going off. Sometimes that interferes with the TV. So if you could just put it in airplane mode or something.
If you could just raise your right hand, do you swear from the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you could state your name and spell your last name.
Talia Jebejian, Jebejian, on Elizabeth Street. I have a cousin/friend who lives on Essex, and I drive by Martini quite often. I don't find it obtrusive. I don't find it to be in the way. And in fact, I think it's in a great location on the property because, you know, you could drive by it, but you're not completely distracted by it. I think it's great for the neighborhood. And I also think that because Camden is kind of like a side street, it's not directly on Kinderkamak or immediately adjacent to it. It's very much in the Oradell neighborhood where it's probably going to be people who live in the area passing by. And I think by what Mr. Bendian has already said, people are stopping to admire it. It's a point of interest, and it's something that makes the town a little bit more interesting, a little bit more lively, and just a little bit more fun. And I think it's not just kids who need that, it's the adults and everybody who lives in town to kind of have something that puts a smile on their face every day. If in fact he wanted to make it a non-permanent structure, I would say that you should have a welcome party every time you bring it back out, just to keep the fun going. Just some ideas. I fully support Martini.
Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, sir, you were, yep.
Can you raise your right hand?
Just adjust the mic up for you. There you go.
Not too much higher. I don't need.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And if you could state your name, spell your last name, and give your address.
Shane McQuaid, MCQUAID, 677 Martin Ave, Oradell, New Jersey. Good evening, Chair and the members of the board. I'm here to ask that Martini be allowed to stay. I think this is a straightforward matter of maybe property rights and some common sense. I don't know if our code allows for tasteful art, but I think Martini meets that spirit. I think he's stationary, quiet, and safe, and doesn't block sightlines, as I can clearly see from the video there, though I'm not an engineer. I think there's also a human side to this, right? I have two young daughters. They love Martini. We pass by almost, nightly as we go on walks, and we wave, we snap photos, as you've seen in the presentation. In a world of, screens and things like that, I think this simple landmark kind of brightens their day, and it's a real delight to our family, at least, and we really appreciate it. I'd hate to go home and tell them that the zoning board has put them out to pasture. Another horse pun, which I've heard some, so those were good too. I like those. But actually yesterday I put in my front yard a 10-foot alien abducting a cow for Halloween, right? I paid for it myself in my excitement for my kids, something fun for the neighborhood. I didn't think to ask the town for permission first. That was an oversight maybe, not defiance, but I guess it's allowed in the code.
No, it's not. What's your address?
No. Strike that from the record. But probably similar to Mr. Bendy, and it came from a very childlike enthusiasm to build something playful for the town. If my wife would, I'd keep it up 365 days a year, but but I think you mentioned earlier, you have to think about the community and the character of Oradell. I think we are the community and character of Oradell, and there's been a lot of outpouring for this. And I think, rules are put in place for a reason. but this is your chance to be on the right side of history by applying them with content and good judgment. So thank you for listening, and I hope you guys make a right decision. If not, when I see you out and about, I'll point to my daughter and say, that's the one that killed Martini. I'm joking.
We have never met before, and
No.
thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Miss back there, you had your hand up? Oh. Okay. Any other public comment? We're good? Okay. We will close it to public comment. Keep me on track here. What's left to do?
If you want to just poll the board, they don't have to say how they're voting, but if there were any issues or anything that they want to do, it is Mr. Bendian's application. So if he wants to amend it in some manner, he can do so. And then after that, then you would call for a motion and a second and vote.
Okay. Let's do that then.
I can just
Yeah,
say
yeah.
one thing.
Feel free.
Again, Mr. Bendian, your presentation, fantastic, and thank you everybody for coming to show your support. Just to kind of be clear, I live in town, been here a long time. The reason why we volunteer to sit on this board is to help and make sure that everything is heard the right way and we can hear all sides of the argument, good or bad. Outside of that, we've heard all the information. My questions were answered. I'm looking forward to the vote.
Thank you.
I'll let the rest of my board go from there.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, a very good presentation. I think that, very acceptance for the town. I do still have the underlying concern that it is a permanent structure, not a temporary alien and all. And it does set precedents for, if we were talking about a tool shed on the side of the house or something like that, it's just not the same. And while I like it, and I think it can be construed as art, there's art that are offensive to people in, not this one maybe, but in other circumstances. And we must be careful of the precedents it sets by allowing this. And, maybe we should consider having a temporary, a non-permanent structure. Horses need to run. Sorry. Occasionally.
Well said. Thank you.
The horse puns are never going to get old. Thoughts?
I don't think I really have anything to add to what my colleague Tom said. I think I have the same concerns, but, while I may not find it objectionable, there is a concern that it could be it's a permanent structure, and, and other people may want to put other things that, it's all subjective what we think is objectionable or not. That's the problem, I think, across the board.
Yep.
Yep, a lot of the same sentiment, and appreciate your presentation. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
And the support from the community, which is also great. And I do think it's important that we preserve the character of the town, right? And I think that this particular structure or piece of art does. But I guess my question is, it does seem like there's an option that would solve the problem very easily. But I think, right, that would take you considering changing your application, putting the horse in the garage for, some, reasonable period of time, and then it's not an issue, and everybody's happy, right? But I think that Steve and Danielle is that's for the applicant to tell us, right? So.
Yes. The only thing I'm going to ask Mr. Debkin is if they did that, then there's nothing for the board to deliberate, correct?
No, they would have to take the application and vote on it.
But what would they be voting on? I don't think there's any variance.
If it became a non-permanent...
It's still a structure. If you're going to be putting it in, I think you have to put a timeline or a date, what holidays, how long it's going to be.
We had a case similar to this.
Well, if it's a non-permanent structure like the gentleman's alien and every other person's Halloween and Christmas decorations, people leave Christmas decorations up all year. I mean.
And that's where I feel like if it's a
And then until
temporary
there's a
structure,
complaint about it, nobody
Then
says anything, right?
Well, I don't know about the decorations all year, but this is an accessory structure. You're trying to make it not an accessory structure. If that's the case, then you'd put it into an area where it would be put out on holidays. It's more of a decoration. And if that's the case, then determine what holidays, what timelines, and that would need to be in a resolution to be approved. Not that the fact that it's going to be a decoration now, and he's going to be taking it in on his own accord at what times and what periods. So I think that needs to be addressed with the.
I don't think we can regulate
I think you have. I think you have to.
Because the definition of structure under the Borough Code is anything constructed or erected which requires permanent location on the ground or attached to a permanent location.
Okay.
If it's not permanent, I don't think this application is before us. They're seeking a variance.
I disagree.
And then
I think you have to dictate when it's going to be there, when it's not a permanent structure.
Do we not already have anything on the books with respect to when decorations are allowed to be up?
No.
So if you wanted to decorate for July 4th and it could stay up until October?
Yeah. I think this goes back to, I think it was Vincent's question earlier. We don't really have a definition of permanent or temporary. We don't know, there's nothing that kind of creates a guideline for how long something has to not be there for it to not be considered permanent. So
isn't it, I don't mean to cut it, to just be easily removed and to be able to move out? I remember we had a similar application, and the argument and everyone was about that it just can shift. Permanent structure means it's there. You have to break the concrete slab, move it. But if you had to unhinge a few things and slide it, it's not permanent. You have chairs out in your front yard. They're not permanent. They're decoration. They could be there for 6 months, and you pick them up and pull them out. But if you cut the grass, put those chairs down, bolted them, the concrete slab makes it, I believe, permanent. That's the
I guess the being
gray area between
attached to the concrete slab is what makes it permanent, right? Is that what we're saying? What originally got us here?
Yes, generalities, yes. But if Mr. Bendian decides that it's going to be a decoration and wants to keep it out and moves it a couple of feet, I don't think that qualifies.
Mm-hmm. It'd be different as if we went through and was presented with an option of, this is the schedule that I will have Martini out on the front yard.
Correct.
January, he's not there. February will be there, February through March, and then April will give him a break. Then we would have a schedule to look at and understand, and again, deliberate over and discuss to see if that's worthy of granting a favorable vote to the application.
But I guess my question becomes, if we did that, I get concerned that anybody could do sort of a similar thing. If Mr. Bendian withdraws his application and puts Martini in, I'm not even suggesting any period of time, just so it's not permanent, there would be nothing for us to decide, and there wouldn't be any violation, correct?
As I discussed with Mr. Bendian originally, it could be considered a decoration if he brings it out on holidays, things on that nature.
Where I'm going, sir, is that if you follow what Mr. Depkin's saying, you don't need an application here. You don't need to be before us, and we don't need to make a determination to start putting how long something could be out, which would then involve potentially other things, or what I think might even be worse, somebody says we need to pass some sort of ordinance saying when things can and can't be out. So if you sort of understand that you have a permanent structure there, but if you take that horse in whenever and put him out, take him in and put him out, and I know that might be a little bit of a hardship, you don't need to be before us. We don't need to make a determination. And we haven't set any precedent on anything. Am I incorrect?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it.
No, I think that's, I feel like there's a theme there, but go ahead, Vincent.
Okay. I think there are benefits that were demonstrated, and I think the board exists to make exceptions. So this is working as intended. My answer was, or my question on setting precedents was answered. So I have no concerns about that. And I see that avoiding a variance in this case to make it, say, a freestanding structure would not necessarily be a better option because of safety reasons.
Okay. I guess just to, go ahead.
Sorry, because I know the option was put out there about making it temporary and then he wouldn't be before the board, but there was also other options if the board was concerned, as the applicant had stated, about putting conditions on the permanency of a structure like this, as I think the applicant had stated, if you didn't want it to run with the land, there's limits that could be put on it. If you wanted it for time frames, as far as like years that it could be up, or any sort of limitations like that, that is also well within the board's jurisdiction and authority to be able to put conditions on it, which could, and I'm not saying it would, but if the board was concerned about things running with the land and then you set, you know, something all of a sudden becomes permanent and then it's there for 100 years, there are ways to limit that. And I'm just throwing that out there for the board. I'm not saying what you have to do or not, but that's always an option. And I think the applicant was open to stuff, something like that.
Yeah, I guess just to you know, cap off the board comments, you know, I hear everyone's concerns, you know, I get it. I think from a positive criteria standpoint, I think it's, you know, it creates joy, which is a good thing. You know, so why wouldn't you use that for variances? However, there's an element of opinion there that puts us in a not us, puts the town in a tough spot, because people have big lawns and there's a lot of corner properties. Anyone can, you know, we don't want to go down the road of you know, lots of things appearing on corner properties. So I don't know if you want to, if you were open to either some of the suggestions that have been thrown around that make it non-permanent, or like you talked about you know, a time period, I forgot what you said, 12 years or something. If there were something that you wanted to put out there as a condition of approval to address some of the board concerns that you heard tonight, I don't know if that's, if you want a couple of minutes to confer.
I'm prepared to talk about it now.
Okay.
Yeah, well, he'll give his final.
Okay, yeah.
Or if he wants.
Excellent.
First of all, I never expected this kind of 15 minutes of fame, but thank you for hearing my story. And believe it or not, I'm still having fun. I'm fine with putting a 10-year cap on this. I said 12-year before. I'm putting a 10-year cap on it, or when I sell my home, whatever comes first. Okay? I'm fine of removing the statue or piece of art for January and February. I'm fine with that. Okay? Other than that, I don't know what else I can do.
No, I think that's a lot more than when you walked in here. You know, I think that's, I don't know if the board wants to comment again based on those offered conditions. Now it's technically a different application.
Well,
We just add it to the resolution as a condition. If the board moves favorable, there'll be a condition in the resolution.
But if it is a non-permanent structure, is there any resolution and variance to be granted?
So if Steve and Danielle agree, if he's going to take it out January and February, do we still need a variance for this?
Yes, because he's still applying it on the basis of it being a permanent structure as a
Temporary
condition to a favorable vote.
Okay.
It would
I
be
mean-
added similar to some of the other applications that we had. We had one, I believe, it was in regard to
Wasn't it
batting
the
cage
big-
one?
the batting
Where
cage?
they had to,
yes.
they had to remove
Right.
it from
Yeah.
October to February during the
Correct.
winter months.
Yes.
Because, again, another family thing, we don't have to, want to talk about it, but, there was some disagreement as to the positive and negative criteria to the application, and in that regard, I believe the applicant decided
Okay.
to take that, and it was still approved, right? There's still a resolution with that condition, I think, or I don't know, again, how it happened, but or did you settle with them separately after?
We settled, they made an arrangement that was acceptable to the borough.
Yeah.
And I will say that, so you're the zoning board, you have the ability to interpret the ordinance here, and Mr. Depkin can also provide clarity. There's no definition that I could find for permanent or temporary, so if your finding is that a accessory structure that's bolted to the ground, that's there for X amount of time is a permanent structure, that's well within your authority to determine whether it is or is not permanent.
Also, we
Or not.
shouldn't be thinking about prior cases.
Correct.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I do think it's probably safer, even with these conditions, it's probably safer to seek the variance so that it doesn't become an issue later on down the road. So I think all right, with that being said, so you've added a condition of, you said 10 years?
10 years.
10-year lifespan, or when you sell the house,
Or when I sell my house, whatever comes first.
with a January, February hiatus on
And
pasture
storage.
break for,
Yeah.
okay. With,
I know you're well aware of this, but we have a lot of people here tonight.
Yeah.
Okay? There wasn't one negativity statement spoken. And everyone else that didn't speak already was spoken for by the other people that spoke positively.
Yep.
That's my 10 cents. And I appreciate your time again, and I hope we could do the right thing here.
With that being said, do we have a motion? Those conditions as offered?
Sure. I make a motion to approve calendar 8/9/3/25 Camden Street with the conditions that we discussed.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Jeanette has seconded. Steve, would you call the roll?
Mr. Lau?
Yes.
Ms. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Campariello?
Yes.
Mr. Bartlett?
Yes.
Ms. Odensky?
Yes.
Mr. Devine?
Yes.
Mr. Santaniello?
Yes. Congratulations. So the application has passed. Just safety notice, if you ever watch these things before, there is a 45-day, is it 45?
So at the
Okay.
at the next hearing, there'll be a resolution that's adopted. After the resolution's adopted, a notice gets published, I believe by the applicant, but I'll check with Gabby. That notice of decision is a 45-day time period where somebody and you could proceed at your own risk to get permits during that time.
Okay.
Thank you all for your time again. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. We're just going to wrap up a few business items here, so if you're filing out, please just keep it to a minimum. Old business. We don't have any. Do we have any old business? Anyone? All right. Any new business? Hey guys, could you, if you could take it outside, we just have a couple items to wrap up.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Any new business? All right. Public comment. Anyone got anything left after that?
Good. It's
Oh,
okay, go.
wait.
Go.
Mhm.
You asked.
Hmm?
You asked the question. Continue.
Ori Katz in Laurel Drive. I just want to say, and I know you guys all here as volunteers, you take times from your families, from grandchildren, maybe some of you have, like I just did now with my granddaughter, and you come here and you make decisions, approve or deny of fellow residents of Oradell. I just want to say that it is a difficult task, and I really appreciate especially something that you see the public made an effort to come over here and show support. Obviously, sometimes you're going to have to deny because, like the gentleman said, it creates an issue that someone can interpret and say, oh, you approved that guy, let me approve. So you guys have a difficult task, and I really appreciate what you are doing. And sitting here and notice the argument back and forth, you do consider other options just to compromise on resolution that will satisfy the applicant, yet will maintain the way the town looks and the appearance and the theme in the town as we are used to and we love so much our own town. So thank you so much. And Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You need to watch all the time.
Yeah.
All right. We will close it up for public comment. Thank you very much. Any motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. We have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Have a wonderful evening. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
We call recycling Christmas cards, old jam jar.